Okay. Uh, Good morning, everyone. GHRDC welcomes you to today's webinar titled The Emerging Role of Technology in Law Education, Preparing the Next Generation of Lawyers. Thank you, everyone, for taking out time and joining it with us today. We are delighted to have with us experts from the industry and academia for the discussion. On behalf of GHRDC team, I welcome our expert panel members. GHRDC is a 26 plus years old education research firm dedicatedly working in the education sector in the area of ranking, training, mentoring, and research, with the sole aim of working on upgrading the quality of education in the country. Uh, the transition of students into law professionals is vital for driving progress, addressing societal industrial challenges and issues, and improving the overall well-being of societies and economies. The skills and expertise of law professionals contribute to industrial, technological, economic, and societal advancements on both local and global scales. Today's topic is about the significance and future of skills, fast-paced emerging trends, and most importantly, the technologies the law school students of today need to know and work on, and what does it take for them to reach the milestone of becoming a dynamic human and front runners for innovation in law industry. We'll now be inviting our distinguished speakers to talk about this exciting topic. Also, I would request our wonderful attendees to type in your questions for our speakers in the chat box given along with the name of the speaker it is addressed to. Now I would introduce our distinguished speakers for today. Dr. Sapna S. She currently heads the School of Law, Christ University, Bangalore as Associate Dean. A doctorate from National Law School, Bangalore, Dr. Sapna is a gold medalist at both LLB and LLM, specializing in commercial law. She is an invited speaker at many national and international forums and has many publications to her credit. She has been holding several prestigious positions, including being a gender consultant with the Department of Labor, Government of Karnataka, and has been an instrumental resource in the ICSSR Safe City project under Bureau of Police Research and Development. She has been an NCW consultant and is a member of high-level advisory committee of Bar Council of India. Her domain expertise includes international commercial arbitration, gender capacity building with the government, being an external expert on internal committee under Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act, key person on gender discrimination sensitizations, gender diversity and inclusion policies, orientations, and training programs on the same. She has been recognized and has been the recipient of scholarship for women's leadership in Asia. Ms. Bhabini Mohan, a graduate in LLB from Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad, Ms. Bhabini Mohan is a young and enterprising capital market lawyer with a wide range of experience in capital raising transactions. She has advised on several initial public offerings such as Yatra Online, DCX Systems, Prudent Corporate Advisory Services, amongst many others, as well as 197 Communications Limited, the second largest IPO in India till date. She is also a qualified institutions placement and bond issuance expert involving marquee clients in the technology, defense, and finance space, and with other leading global and domestic investment banks. She has also been on advisory panel on regulatory issues relating to insider trading and other listing rules and regulations in India, and has also been a part of several unique initiatives, the most recent one of them being conducting sessions on capital markets with an aim to provide an understanding of the intricate intersections between financial regulations and corporate law. The West Bengal National University of Juridical Sciences and King's College of London launched a summer school of which this initiative was a part of, in which Ms. Bhabini Mohan was a key resource. Apart from her professional accomplishments, Ms. Mohan is a passionate swimmer, reader, and a yoga practitioner. And we have Mekhla Sinha, the Executive Director of GHRDC, who will now be acting as a moderator for the discussion today. With this, I would request Mekhla to now take over and initiate the panel discussion.
Thank you so much, Aradhana. A very warm welcome and warmest greetings to both our distinguished speakers, Dr. Sapna and Ms. Bhavni Mohan. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to hear your inputs and insights for this very wonderful topic that we've chosen, something that I feel is going to be the future and the present and the everything of law education in times to come. So without any further ado, I'll start with the first question, and that will be for Dr. Sapna. Dr. Sapna, thank you so much once again for joining us. We have a very interesting scenario in law education currently. COVID started, and it really, pushed us many years forward in terms of usage of technology in law education, which was not the case earlier. We were following certain traditional practices and education curriculum, and suddenly, COVID changed all of that. It really pushed us against all tides, and we came to this stage where we were having absolutely no other option but to use technology. But now we've gone even beyond. Technology has gotten embedded into every area of our living, and so has it been for law education. So my first question to you is, how do you feel that technology has transformed the traditional practice of law in recent years, and what are the most significant trends that are shaping this change? Over to you, ma'am. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Aradhana, thank you for the warm introduction. Mekhla, thank you. And GHRDC, thank you for having me here. I think it is so relevant for me to be here, specifically because as heading one of the biggest schools of law in the country, I think we impact lives of so many students. And it is so important for us to know about this specific topic, which I think is the most important thing today. When we try to understand about how technology is transforming law, let us just go right at the beginning. The changes that are brought about by technology today is not limited to one or two professions. Every profession is going through similar changes, be it the doctor, be it the tax consultant, consultancy, journalism, thought leaders, market leaders, architecture. Every technology today is going through these changes. Now, there is probably a broad theme which is going to arise in terms of two different phenomena that are coming through it. One is the role of technology to improve what we are doing, to augment, to support, and to enhance them. And second is to disrupt, to displace, to replace the traditional profession. Now, as a broader picture, let us try to understand what is the whole purpose of the profession itself. Now, why are certain people given exclusive rights which come to them by the way of profession, either because you're a tax consultant, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a journalist, you're an architect? Now, what is it that makes you a professional? Now, if you just look at it in a very philosophical way, if you're just looking at it in a very broad professional manner, I think it is because the point lies in the interest of the recipients, that it is the job of the professionals to make it accessible to them, to be to make it more affordable to them, and to keep the knowledge current. Now, in law, every year on eBay, more than 60 million disputes are settled, not by lawyers, but by the online dispute resolution people. Now, if we have to begin to map out few of the large scale changes that are happening in the legal profession, now the question that we need to ask would be, what is it that we require to create new kind of lawyer who is competent in today's world? What is the new skill sets and what does the market need? Now, when we have to pause and think about these questions, I think the caveat is that let us not think about the legal practice in the way that we have always seen, probably which has been practiced by our grandfathers, our uncle, the aunt, the neighbor next door. Now, what we need to focus is on, rather, not what the lawyers do or not what the lawyers have been doing. Now, let's flip it. Now, instead, let us think about it from the point of view of the consumer of the legal services. Because the changes that are happening specifically because of technology are happening at the service delivery end. Now, probably it is important for us to lay on the table certain large scale global changes as a starting point, as a framework to understand how these changes are taking place, because this is going to affect different stakeholders: the lawyers, the students, the academicians, the researchers. Now, I think one such change is what we call, or what I have researched and found out to be, commodification. Now, in commodification, we are talking about the scale, the fact that the law or the services are moving from the made to order model to the commodity model is pretty much obvious. Now just take a look around us: the legal zoom, the direct legal, which is providing services to many services. It is not consultative one to one services, but it is services across many of them. So the prediction is that by commodification, certain bands of legal profession, not all, are going to be stripped away. Now, what are those? Those could be basic things like the legal research, the document drafting, the due diligence. Because let us not forget that at the end of the day, the legal profession is document intensive as compared to any other profession. So, in a way, the legal profession is going through industrialization, meaning many of the things which were considered to be the exclusive domain of the lawyers, we see machines taking on, not taking over. So the reality is that if we have to have, quote, tomorrow's lawyers, how would you imagine that to be? How would you envision it to be? Now, the picture would be, these would be the people who would be developing systems, solving problems to which the lawyers at one point of time were the best answers, like the legal knowledge engineers, the legal risk managers, or a legal process analyst, or who are expert in design thinking, and not just a person who's here to study law, who's studying a criminal law, a torts law, a civil law, but these are the people who are working on tackling new ways of the old problems. Because as uncomfortable as it must have sounded at one point of time, if there are cheaper, easier, and less forbidding ways of doing things, now market will surely lean towards it. Now, this will surely mean that more work will be given to machines and less work will be allocated to the human beings. So, my take on this is that instead of competing with machines, it is important to build skills for yourselves. It is important to tell the students you will need to build skills for yourself that allow you to be a legal knowledge engineer or a legal systems designer, to build systems that will help solve legal problems in newer ways. So I think today the mantra is to create, to innovate. Now I want to take one page out of Richard Susskind, who's a very accomplished author and a lawyer, now who argues that information technology will not only will not only automate and streamline traditional legal services, but will also fundamentally transform the legal process and the administration of justice. Now, he predicts the future of the legal services will focus more on preempting disputes and managing legal risk rather than merely resolving them. So, at the cost of being repetitive, I think the mantra today is going to be create, innovate, make your expertise more available in a new way. Now, solving problem today is not just about a one-to-one consultative practice, but it is about designing the systems. It is about that movement, that transformation from one-to-one to one-to-many relationships. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Mekla,
Yes, yes, I can hear
so
you.
I will just stop here and wait to take on your next question.
Sure, sure. Very, very valid and very wonderful inputs and insights from you on this question, ma'am. And very nicely summarized by you when you said that today, of course, the technology is the mainstay and things are going to be changing. And, it all depends on the end consumable need of, the society also. But I think what came out really nicely in your response was the fact and the messaging that is going out to our students today who are watching this live on our social media platforms also, is that they need to be very, very up to date with the skill set of how they are going to be approaching these changes as far as technology in law education is concerned. And I think this is a very big takeaway for them. Thank you. My next question is to Ms. Bhavni Mohan. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are very, very excited to have your insights. a lot of students who are joining and watching this webinar will be able to relate to your story and journey as a professional who started from Nalsar and now has gone on to be doing her corporate journey. So again, Ms. Mohan, the same question I would like to pose to you also, the one that I had asked Dr. Sapna, but this time from you as an industry professional, as a corporate professional in law sector. Again, I'll repeat that question for you. How has technology transformed the traditional practice of law in recent years? And what are the most significant trends that are shaping this change? Over to you.
First of all, thank you so much, Mrs. Sinha, for inviting me, and Radna for that wonderful introduction. I'll just begin with the question on the role of technology in transforming the legal sector. I think technology has transformed each and every aspect of society, not just the legal profession. In fact, now that I think about it, the very image of a lawyer going through tomes and like volumes of bulky case papers, it's now becoming extremely outdated in today's digital age. And COVID has also, in fact, helped bring about significant technological advancements in the legal profession. We have businesses which are now conducted through video conferencing. We have the entire remote work arrangement set up, the e filing system. The very instrument which lawyers used has been revolutionized through technology, something as basic as legal research. Now, earlier we had those bulky the reference books and the case papers that people had to go through. Back in 1970s, we got a research analytics platform introduced by LexisNexis, which had tools through which people could find cases instantly. And that completely revolutionized legal processes. It's done away with expensive case libraries. It's done away with that long manual process of going through bulky books and finding the correct law, correct reference of the current case law. It's eliminated the slight chance of human error, which is always there in manual processes. Obviously, I think there have been other aspects which has been automated in legal processes as well. Now that I think about it, things like which is very relevant from a law firm perspective. Earlier, there was always a concern about billing and transparency. Like clients always had that question about where was the money coming from. Now we have a billing and timesheet software, which gives the exact idea of the number of hours worked on a specific deal and the number of hours that are going to be billed to the client. It promotes efficiency. We have e-filing systems. Earlier, at least in capital markets, you have bulky offer documents 400 pages long, which are being filed with SEBI physically, along with like the supporting bulky documents. The filing itself took about 6-7 hours, which obviously impacted the entire review process. Now, through e-filing, there's instantaneous people are instantly uploading offer documents, which is expediting the entire legal review process. In fact, I remember very recently the SEBI chairman, Madhavi Butch, mentioned about how the entire practice of how SEBI functions as a regulator and as someone who's reviewing legal documents is also transformed through technology. Now, through technology, they're able to clear IPOs in as little as 3 months. We also have predictive analytics softwares, which is extremely relevant from a litigation perspective. Earlier, when a client used to approach a lawyer and talk about what's the predictability or the likelihood of a win, obviously that answer was subject to there was a lot of subjectivity and guesswork involved in the answer. But now we have software which would analyze similar precedents and give an answer which is grounded on facts, an objective answer grounded on facts. It's again an extremely relevant tool which has transformed the legal sphere. I actually look back and think about my own experience in the capital markets field and how it's extremely different from how my seniors learned capital markets or how they practice capital markets. Like say the remote working arrangement, how it enabled people to work to, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, onboard professionals, train professionals. In fact, if it hadn't been for the remote working arrangement, because, which was brought on by the widespread accessible use of technology, I wouldn't have been able to get a job. As simple as that, because we were sitting in our homes, we couldn't have gotten interviews done, we couldn't have been trained by law firms. It would have been a good 1 or 2 years till COVID was done before any one of us could have even accessed legal services. But now that I think about it, if someone asks me about, has technology transformed the legal sphere, absolutely it has. But has the legal field been extremely proactive in embracing technology, and has it been fronting the entire adoption of technology in society? I don't really think so. Uh, because now that we think about it, if the entire digitization phase in the legal sphere itself took a lot of time around, because the research and analytic platform which enabled people to look up cases online, it was introduced back in 1970s. It could have been implemented, the entire digitization process could have been implemented in the process much earlier, but it took a good 30, 40 years. It took a pandemic for us to completely embrace the technological revolution. And I think there is a reason. We should definitely think about why there's been a slight inertia, or why the legal profession is a little hesitant about completely adopting technology. A lot of it obviously stems from the fact that there is a conservative approach, and most of the lawyers are traditionalists, especially people who practice common law. So they believe that the practices which are rooted in tradition should not be changed easily. We are very change. We're very averse to change, and we're also very risk averse. For us, AI or technology is something new, something to be wary of. Uh, there are While it's an amazing tool which has definitely revolutionized each and every aspect of society, there are certain things which you need to be wary of. Like, say, obviously, with every software there comes a risk of cybersecurity. I know, like, if I've known firms who've taken up who've used a software in their practice, and they've been susceptible to hacking and other cybersecurity threats. And as a lawyer, another extremely crucial concern for us is maintaining the privacy of our clients, like lawyer client confidentiality. But when we are uploading or even using AI to analyze sensitive client questions, or even analyze sensitive client documents, that document is getting uploaded on a public platform, which is putting so there's essentially public ownership of private data, which is jeopardizing the entire client confidentiality. And also, AI is a machine, it's a software, but to say that it's absolutely free of human error, that it's absolutely free of bias or judgment is wrong. Because if there have been times where responses generated by AI have been prone to errors, because every software is programmed to generate the most believable outcome, not the most accurate outcome. And the legal field is something which is subject to constant change. So the kind of reliability we can have on AI, it's we'll always need human intervention to confirm that the answer generated by AI software is absolutely accurate or not. Secondly, AI always functions, or any other machine learning software always functions on the data that is fed into it, through which the entire software model is created. Historical data, which may be prone to certain biases, and which could eventually lead to biases being promulgated by the AI software as well. Like, I'll give a very basic example. Um, in a criminal justice system, if we use the AI software, to analyze the predictable outcome of a criminal case, and they look at historical arrest data, say in the US. Obviously, that's going to be prone to certain racial profiling and certain discrimination against minority communities. So, the subsequent or the most predictable outcome generated by predictable analytics software would also, there's always a risk of it kind of promulgating or further racial profiling and discrimination in the future. So, my answer in a nutshell is definitely the technology has revolutionized the legal sphere. It has, but there's always a requirement for human intervention, and we can only use technology in the and we need the right human intervention and the right skill set, as Dr. Sapna rightly mentioned, to ensure we use technology in the most sustainable manner to benefit the legal profession and the society at large.
Thank you, Ms. Mohan. I think very apt representation of what the situation is, as is, not just in law education but also in the industry. And I think while you spoke about the benefits, you also spoke about ground reality. Of what things are we really truly embracing it? And it's not just the question of embracing it, but also the kind of challenges that law education sector or law industry faces while embracing AI and technology. So that was very nicely summarized. And I think that point came out very clear in your answer and responses, that while it is getting to be a part of the law sector for students, for professionals, and for faculty and the education, but at the same time the human intervention will always continue to play that role. So thank you so much. In fact, Dr. Sapna, what Ms. Mohan said has set the stage for my second question, which is to you. Again, when we talk about these kind of changes, like, we've been talking about the traditional law practices or the way of teaching or the curriculum in law schools, which has been followed for centuries, and suddenly this kind of change that has happened has obviously changed the entire pathway of law education. So my second question is actually a very interesting question for you, is that what are some of the challenges that law schools faced when they are trying to integrate new technology in their way of teaching or in their curriculum or in their practices, and specifically, from the point of view of faculty embracing it and being able to disseminate, or the students, accepting it more openly? What do you really feel about that? Or as an institution, how are they really open to the idea of using technology, and what are the various challenges we face?
Okay, I think this is one question that I was so much looking forward to. It just takes me back to my, the institution. I will just tell you this from the perspective of Christ itself. One thing that we believe as a university is to create learning environment. So what it means is that we understand, we have complete faith that Christ as a university and teaching does not exist for the university's sake or for the teaching's sake, but for the consequences that it brings, in terms of concentrating on delivering the services or solutions that the stakeholders require. Now, to just very quickly take you through the layout of it. Now, one thing that Christ University does now is that the revisions in the curriculum happens every 6 months, and this approval is got every 1 year. So the curriculums don't stay like the way that it used to happen in the traditional universities. They don't stay put. So there are revisions that happen, and these revisions are very periodical in nature. And how do the curriculum revisions happen? There is a very systematic way that is followed, where there is a consultative process that takes place with the faculty, and along with the faculty, all the stakeholders are involved in it. The students are involved in it. Our peers are involved in it. The industry is involved in it. The government is involved in it. The ministries are involved in it. Now, all these are taken for the curriculum revisions to be done. So the important thing is that we try to understand: are we really reaching the stakeholders? Are we in the current wave when we do this curriculum revision. The other thing is also that if you just take a look at the way the way the knowledge system itself is, or the way the source of where we are coming through itself is. Now there are things that was never there earlier. Now say for example, we do in the classes the UNESCO recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. Now probably that is something that was not required at all. I mean today we do it not because it's a part of any examination, it's a part of any curriculum, but because it is so much required for the students to understand. So there are regulations, and these are the soft things that the students should know about. Or say for example, to speak about in terms of examples, now if I'm doing an IPR class, the IPR curriculum will have something to do with an autonomous car. The TOTS will have something to do with how do the liability of an autonomous car is dealt with. Or say for example, the use of AI in culture raising which raises certain very interesting ethical reflections. Now say for example, in 2016, the Rembrandt painting, which was called as the next Rembrandt, was designed by a computer. I mean all of us know about it, and it was created by a 3D printer. Now this was a 351-year-old thing, and 351 years after the painter's death, now this was created. So today probably when we are using examples in IPR, or when we are using examples in order to understand the tortious liability, gone are the days that we would probably still be looking at Rylance versus Fletcher. While it is important, I think we are more into the in wave of it. We are more into the current part of it. We are trying to look at these things, and in and every way we see that technology, the AI is such an important part of whatever we refer to, in terms of the contemporariness. Now, the other thing is very important that we follow is to get the student to know about the legal environment. Now, when we say to the student to know about the legal environment, I think it is very important to say it is not just the legal environment, because no longer can you exist as an island. You can't work in a silo. It will have to be multidisciplinary. It will have to transcend the disciplines. So maybe you are working very closely with the Department of Computer Science. You're working very closely with psychology department. Now, by the way, example, we have one course which we teach, which is called witness psychology. I mean, it is such a in thing. I mean, it's such an happening thing for anybody to understand. How do the witness even give their testimony? What is the psychology of a witness, or what is the psychology of a person who has committed a sexual violence? Why do sexual violence happens in case of the POXO cases? So how are you looking at it? Are you looking at it only from the perspective of law? No, you are looking at it multidisciplinary. How did technology help us decide it? Now through virtualization, you don't even require to have people coming on to your place thousands of miles away. I mean, the digital way and the online way is so efficient nowadays, given the kind of the technology that is there, given the kind of the infrastructure that we have. It is so seamless in the sense that you have a professor from Yale University today who's trying to give you a lecture. You have somebody from Manchester Metropolitan with whom we, who's giving us a lecture on this. So it is so wide, and who takes the benefit of all of this at the end of the day is the students who take the benefit of all of it. So this is what we mean when we say you have to learn the environment that you live in. You have to understand the business environment that you live in. If you have to understand about commercial arbitration, you will have to understand about the psychology. If you have to understand something about the criminal law, you have to get into the forensics to understand. Now another thing that I see is a very strong development has been. Now, as much as we have understood that the legal education is to lawyers, to litigators, to corporate lawyers, to somebody who's specializing in IP, one trend that we have seen coming up with, when we talk to the industry partners, is that it is very important for the students also to understand about the case management. And this is something now we have been very strongly focusing on the students. Now say for example, in the international commercial arbitration, they learn something about the ICC case connect, or the Hong Kong International Arbitration case connect, or the AAA web file, or the Stockholm Chambers of Commerce platform. These are the kinds of the things which the students get exposure to, because it is no longer a luxury. This is something that you need to know. It is something that you need to be aware of. Or say for example, we have one of this elective which is called forensic science and law. Now this is such a beautiful interface between science, which is forensic science and law. I mean, how do they get together? Again, today it is no longer a luxury. You see around you, it is there everywhere. the electronic evidence is now statutorily recognized. Now, how can you would not learn about it? Cyber forensics is a very important part of it. I mean, we have gone much further even to talk about the DNA forensics, where the students are taken to see a postmortem. The students are taken to a forensic science lab. So, this is how the learner-centric approach the student is also emphasized on. So we see, if you just pause and take a look about it, and if you just reflect upon it, I think the way that you look at it, as Bhavini rightly said, everything has changed. So that means even the teaching profession has changed. Teaching profession has changed not only in terms of the curriculum, it is also in terms of no longer chalk and board system. I mean, you are as much as a technician as much as you are a professor today. So you will have to know as about forensic science as much as you know about the Evidence Act. So things have changed in such big ways. Not to mention the smart boards that we have, or asking students to go into an andrology way of thinking. So what happens in an andrological way is that you're differentiating it from a pedagogy. So all these while we used to say it is a legal pedagogy, it is the pedagogy of the law school, but today we say it is a learner-centric approach. So what happens in a learner-centric approach is that it is the student who's at the center. The student decides what is the kind of the assessment he takes, what is the kind of the hybrid way that he's going to give his exams, how will he learn, is it going to be self-paced? So these are the kinds of the things which has been huge benefits of technology, and the way it has specifically changed way that we are looking at things. Now there is just this one thing that I would want to say, that is, if somebody were to tell any young legal beagle that now you have got a job, now you're in the profession, and it is made safe, I think we have missed the very point, because there is nothing about safety today, right? And there is nothing about settling down today. Today, it is about the fast pace that you have to run with advanced. And unless you have that mindset to be with the advanced knowledge, I think we are missing the point. Another thing is also, which is very specific to the Christ University, is not just about trying to make you a professional, trying to make you a good lawyer, trying to make you to get into JSA, or trying to make you to get into the tier one law firm. But it is also that to tell you you are a whole person. You need to understand holistically what it is. So you need to have your ethics in place when you're having your professionalism in place. So this is very consciously done, very mindfully done, where we have a complete course on holistic development. And to me, I think in today's world, this should be a very important takeaway to a student, because as technology, there are also other things of technology, the unsafe part about technology, the kind of the peer pressure the technology is able to get. There are blurring borders with respect to your private time, your work life balance. So to have this holistic development is again a very important thing. So to me, this has been the major takeaway, that the whole thing, I mean, it is not just about curriculum but as an entire package.
Right, right. Very well said, ma'am. Actually, what you're saying has come across as a very solid point in terms of, first of all, understanding the environment you're in, and then accordingly preparing yourself for it. And then obviously the ability to face challenges and overcome it also happens very seamlessly, because we have to first have an understanding of where we are and what are the kind of things we are looking at. But like you rightly said, technology is the way forward for sure, and that is something we have to make peace with, and kind of go ahead with full focus. In fact, ma'am, you talked a little bit about the aspect of ethical dilemmas, which I'll come back to you in a later question. But I will talk to Ms. Mohan about a very interesting question that has been asked by students specifically, who are in our network of law education and law industry. Now, again, Ms. Mohan, you spoke about certain technical platforms and the way technology has kind of seamlessly, revolutionized the way of working in law corporate firms. If you could just talk about specific technical tools that are being used in companies and law firms to improve efficiency and outcome, and just talk about it briefly, because that will be very useful for our students and for the faculty who are also going to be listening to this, and they can also then integrate some of these tools and technology platforms into their own way of teaching and working.
Sure. So I'll just start with the slightly foreboding statement that Dr. Sapna made, that there's nothing safe about today's time. We all have to keep evolving. We all have to keep analyzing the changes going around us. So earlier, I think law firms and the legal profession was in a very safe space. Earlier, only highly specialized and skilled lawyers who went through law school had a monopoly on legal services. But that's changing now. Now we have alternative legal service providers, we have legal technology startups who are providing legal services. In fact, clients themselves are turning to AI and other software to get answers to their legal queries, be it a legal bot or any other AI which could generate routine documents for them. It's And they're doing it at zero cost. So for us to convince them that we are still relevant and we still deserve the client fee that we are getting, we need to evolve with the times. We need to be more intellectual, we need to be more analytical, and we need to show them that we have a very entrepreneurial mindset, and we need to embrace technology, because now that AI has come and now that it's been delivering these cost efficient and innovative solutions, clients are expecting us to integrate it in our services as well. So what I've noticed in most law firms, at least back in the UK and the US, is that they're employing, like, say, I'll just take an example of a Magic Circle law firm, Allen and Overy. They're taking up a AI software called Harvey AI, which they're using to generate responses to legal research queries. Of course, in doing routine tasks like document review and due diligence review and answers to legal responses, legal queries. And like I mentioned, what the advantage to using AI for these tasks is that it's extremely cost efficient. Every law firm is also looking at reducing their costs and operating in the most profitable and cost efficient way possible. And B, most importantly, in a profession where there's zero room for error, you're using software for doing routine and clerical tasks which could be subject to the diminishing law of returns if it were done manually. Obviously, you're fatigued, you're doing the same clerical tasks again and again, you're prone to make a human error there. So what I've seen basis my discussion in the industry is that law firms across the board are using AI to get responses to basic legal queries, to get the standardized framework of agreements, because a lot of legal agreements have boilerplate clauses. And even for they employ the machine learning software to do due diligence, because AI, like a lot of AI software, is can extract key clauses from contracts, which helps in diligence. Key clauses from contracts, key diligence provisions from other legal documents at half the time as maybe like a junior associate could do. So as of now, I think AI in law firms has become that assistant which is doing the routine jobs and is enabling lawyers to actually, I think it's paving the opportunity for us to do more critical and analytical stuff that necessitate human interaction.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think what you're talking about was like a perfect marriage, where the aspect of the clerical routine aspect, which is extremely important, but there is, like you said, there is no scope for human error, is being taken over by AI and technology, along with the human intervention part of the lawyers and their, analysis of that sort. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavni. I think that input that you've shared will be very useful to our students who are watching this, who will be looking at this webinar, and they may also look at it as a future course of some certain courses that they would like to take up, even externally. So, Dr. Sapna, let's go back to the same question that we talked about very briefly just a few minutes ago, about the ethical dilemmas that we are facing of while we are using AI and technology. And of course, how should we address them? Because this is now not just important in general, but specifically from law, education, and sector point of view. Like you said, there's no scope of error. There's a lot of confidentiality aspect which is involved. There are a lot of other nuances which are involved. So how do we really address it, and what is your take on this?
So, I think the few of the ethical challenges to me would be first, of course, the lack of transparency of now, if you're looking at AI, today technology is almost becoming synonymous with AI. So, the lack of transparency of the AI tools, because not all decisions need to be accurate. They are not accurate, and it is very important that the students understand when they use the AI tools, it always needs to be reviewed, it always needs to have a cross reference, and you cannot think that AI tools are those, the absolute and the panacea for all your research needs and on all your questions. The next thing is also that, specifically because I'm a gender expert and I deal so much about AI and gender, the other thing is also that don't ever think that AI is gender, it does have its biases. Now, its decisions are susceptible to inaccuracies, discriminatory outcomes, where there are certain embedded or inserted bias. Now, that's also another thing that the students will need to understand when they're using the AI or when they're using the tech. The surveillance practice for the data gathering and privacy is again another thing that, we always tell the students about. Now, where I'm coming from by mentioning all these things is that at one point of time, when we used to speak about privacy only in terms of Justice case Puttaswamy versus Union of India case, today we are speaking about AI, tech, and privacy absolutely in every course that we teach them. We speak about that in terms of arbitration, like I was just mentioning. We speak about, because it is so important for arbitration. I mean, there are so many provisions, the institutional provisions, which specifically speak about the online way of arbitration. So it is getting into every course. The privacy aspects, all those ethical issues which relates to technology, it is getting into every aspect. Whether you're teaching them criminal law, you're teaching them civil law, or you're teaching them forensic, which is particularly dealing with it. Every course has one component where you are speaking about what is the ethical use of AI. Now, another part for us in the law teaching part comes in terms of the assessments. Now, when we do the assessments, I mean, always there would be the plagiarism test and how the plagiarism would be violated. Now it has gone a little bit further with the AI coming in. I mean, where it is so easy to get answers, such ready-made answers, which is customized to the way that you want. Now, again, I go back to the first point that I've made. It is not about competing with technology. Technology is here to stay, and technology is good if you use it as a good servant. So what we also tell the students is that it is good for you to use the technology. It is good for you to use the AI, but the ethic lies in two things. In being responsible when you use the AI, and the second part is that when you quote where you have used the AI. So we will need to know when we give you the assessment, where have you used the AI and which part of it has been AI generated. Of course, we have softwares in order to find it out, but the students will need to know that they don't have to use it in a clandestine way. They don't have to use it in a stealthy way. You have to embrace technology because you're a part of it. I mean, that is a kind of the world that we are living in. And to say that, oh, don't use AI, it is like an atom bomb and you cannot touch it, that would be so, I mean, so not right way of speaking to the students or teaching them. So a better way would be to tell them that you can be a part of the technology, can be a part of your teaching, it can be a part of your learning, it can be a part of your assessment, but there are ways that you need to use it. Now, technology can never take over. It can be a part of whatever that we do, either in terms of augmenting or supporting or aiding whatever that we have been doing. Technology can never take away the human expertise. It is so in law, it is so in medicine, it is so in any profession that we are taking about. So these are certain ethical things that we will need to tell the students. And apart from that, today we also have policies. These policies are in place which tells them how do you use AI, how is the plagiarism looked at one point of time. The plagiarism standards used to be totally different, but the plagiarism test nowadays is again very different from the way that it used to be at one point of time. So as much as we are concerned about the ethical ways the ethical considerations relating to AI or technology, what it also has done consequentially for the legal teaching profession, for the academia, is that I think we have also pulled up our socks in terms of the way that we deliver our things, the way that we have planned the assignments, the way that we are planning the teaching itself. So no longer are they memorization tests, no longer are there those kinds of things which you have done it, it's been there, so you can pick it up from somewhere. I think there are three things that we are very specifically concentrating on. First thing is going to be your skill of analysis, your skill of critical thinking, and then your problem solving. Because at the end of the day, not just for a lawyer, I think any profession that you take, these three things are the most important thing. I mean, have you been able to analyze something? Now, it's a different thing that AI is able to help you to analyze. But as teachers, if you are able to provide them with such a real life kind of a scenario, such kind of a hypothetical scenario, I think your analysis could be person based. I mean, you can understand how the analysis is made, and how is your sense of critical thinking. How are you able to give us some newer way of solving things? Are you able to do a benchmarking with another university? Do you have some other jurisdiction which is also following this? Can it be modified into our things? So I think these are the kinds of the things which is going to neutralize those violations which could be done by using the technology. Violations is going to be everywhere, anywhere. Unethical practices is going to be anywhere and everywhere. But I think the way that we need to look at it is, we should not get to this point where we are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So because there are violations, I cannot say that there's going to be a complete ban on technology. It is not going to work like that anymore. So use of technology inside the classroom is as much as it is important as it is to get them into that learning environment. So I think this is how the ethical issues will be there, but this is the solution to tackle the ethical issues.
Right. I think that point that you made about using the ethical aspect of, of a certain technology while being in a classroom situation or even outside in law education, and being very conscious of it in whichever way you're disseminating it, is a very big takeaway for every law school in our country.
And Mekhla, there's also another thing that I would like to add. Whenever
Yeah.
we are looking at technology or AI, I think one thing that we also need to be very aware is that this has got a very strong connection with sustainability and environment too. I mean, if you're looking at I mean, all these things are a part of the sustainability process. These are all a part of the green initiatives. Because if I'm going to be using AI, if I'm going to be using a hybrid mode of conducting my conference, I'm going to be saving on so much of footfall. I'm going to be saving on so much of the air flights, so much of the carbon emission that comes with it. So another thing that we are also doing, which is again very specific to our university, is that when we are speaking about technology, I think we are combining it with the sustainability aspect too. So we are saying that it is not just about technology; it is also about sustainability. It is also about the sustainable development goals, and it is also about the environment. So it is about environment, sustainability, and the teaching that goes together. So this is how we are looking at it. So that is the reason why, even when we are speaking about the online dispute resolution, or when I'm speaking about the ICC online dispute resolution, or the the online resolution, we are also looking at it with terms of green arbitration. We are also looking at it in terms of the sustainability. So I think this is a very beautiful marriage between technology and sustainability, and this, I think, is one of the most important takeaways, the most important advantage that technology has given us.
Very beautifully said, ma'am. In fact, when we were kind of dwelling into some of the questions post-COVID as to what has been the most major takeaway or learning for educational institutions, be it law, be schools, engineering, hospitality, architecture, one of the things that we arrived at as a conclusion was that it is absolutely the impact that you're making as an industry or as an institution. And one of them is, like you very rightly mentioned, about sustainability, about inclusivity, and about what kind of impact you're creating within the societal community that you're existing within. And very nicely you've integrated the aspect of usage of technology to that, and how it can be both carried together and looked at it in a very, very positive way. Thank you so much for that, ma'am. I think that is going to be a game changer for especially people who look at technology in a very different way. And specifically like Bhavni was mentioning, you were mentioning that even today we have a lot of people in the law, education, and industry sector who do not possibly, embrace technology, who have certain reservations, and they continue to resist it at all times. But I think this point can be a very, very big headway. My last question again is to Ms. Mohan, and this question that I'm going to be asking you is actually something which has been asked to us by the student community over and over again over many, many, many years, and this continues to be the hot question, which they always ask and specifically address to the industry person. So, what specific technical skills would you suggest that law schools or law students, aspiring law, students should focus on, especially when they are thinking about tech integrated legal careers? So, if you could give them some guidance on tech skills, and in case you would also would like to add into the list of skills in non-tech skills that you feel that they should also learn or integrate into their career or into their teaching or their learning practice, please feel free to add them as well.
Sure. So, definitely, I think the legal profession will need to adopt a new mindset for the future to maintain its hold on clients, since clients are now coming to expect the benefits of legal technologies that bring faster results and reduced expenses. And as Dr. Sapna said, technology is now part of a new reality. We can't we can't shield ourselves from it. We can't hide from it. Even if there are any ethical concerns, we can't we'll have to embrace the fact that technology is now part of our new reality. That being said, in terms of how someone can equip themselves to meet the new challenges going forward, they'll definitely need to be very entrepreneurial in their approach to maintaining the relevance. Because while the future will still need law, it won't necessarily need lawyers to provide it. So the future law firms will be multidisciplinary, with fewer traditional lawyers and more non traditional employees with skill sets in technology, data analytics, information governance, and there'll be an emergence of new legal roles that combine law and technology. Like lawyers will be expected to analyze data and manage complex technology, develop strategies. So these will be the new crucial skill set that they'll have to adopt to be relevant in today's digital age. So, in terms of what could be done by the law schools, or what are the specific courses, and what should be something that the lawyers and the law schools should be integrating in their curriculum, I definitely think there should be a specific curriculum on what legal research and AI is. I mean, the more people learn about AI, the more they'll be able to embrace it and as part of the new reality. We always fear the unknown. So AI powered legal research tools have to be taught to the students before they graduate. And familiarizing students with these tools can significantly reduce research time and improve their accuracy, and will make them more valuable as a potential employee in a law firm. Similarly, given that technology and AI comes with its own set of unique challenges, there should definitely be more emphasis and more courses on data privacy and cybersecurity. Because as the new generation of lawyers, we'll be expected to protect our clients from all the threats that technology brings. And one of the most paramount threats would be data privacy, and obviously these topics have to now become a fundamental part of legal education, be it understanding the legal frameworks governing data protection such as GDPR and the Personal Data Protection Act. So that's one essential skill set from my perspective. Another thing would be about adopting a more interdisciplinary approach. So, education should now embrace other fields, specifically fields like technology, business, and ethics. So, this will ensure that students understand the broader context of legal issues and devise holistic solutions. And there should be more collaboration with other faculties and industry experts, so that there could be a complete comprehensive learning experience that's imparted to the students. in terms of soft skills that will enable them to survive, um, I definitely think that, as I mentioned earlier, there has to be an entrepreneurial approach to how they think and how they function as a next generation of lawyers. So there should be an emphasis on the research and problem solving skills of students. They need to be able to uh, analyze data, come up with potential solutions to any problems that law firms might face in the future, the legal sector might face in the future. This is a time when they have to give back, and they have to think more about how they can contribute and ensure that they are bringing about a more sustainable change for the legal profession in this digital age. Similarly, of course, I think there has to be good teamwork skills and good communication and presentation skills. That's imperative, because now I think we'll have to convince, given the kind of new players which are now emerging in the legal field, we'll have to keep convincing our clients of our relevance in the field. We'll have to be coming up with more innovative solutions to survive. And I think that's about it from my perspective on how what should be ingrained in the curriculum, and what is the skill set that a future lawyer should be equipped with to survive in the digital age.
Thank you so much. Actually, this is a huge takeaway for students to understand that, which specific area when it comes to law education should they be focusing on, and what is very relevant for law firms and law corporate industry sector. I think that is a very, very valid input. There are a lot more questions that we can continue asking. We have a huge stream of network of students and faculty who are part of our network, who are in fact watching this webinar online live right now. And we also had circulated the details of this webinar through our emails and other platforms, in which we have received numerous questions about various aspects of technology's integration in law education and law sector as a professional. But due to lack of time, we'll end it here. I can't even begin to tell you how wonderful this entire session was. And we talked about so many variables in today's webinar, which I think is not just relevant, but something that our students and our faculty and law professionals, even companies and firms who look at these responses can take a lot back from. Thanks to both of you so much for all your insights and inputs. We look forward to having you once again. And over to Aradhna for a closing note.
Thank you, Megha. This was a very fruitful and enriching discussion. On behalf of the GHRDC team, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the participants for taking out time to attend the webinar. A sincere thanks to our panel of experts. Their presence have been invaluable and undoubtedly has made this webinar a great success. Thank you so much once again. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sapna. Thank you, Ms. Mohan. Thanks so much once again.
Thank you so much for having me in, and it was lovely meeting Bhavni. Maybe next time you come to Bangalore, Bhavni, please don't forget to visit Christ. We would love to host you sometime. Thank you.
That's so wonderful.
Thank you.
I'll connect you guys on email once I'll be sharing the webinar video and the details. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, and Mrs. Sinha, Radhna, for hosting me and giving me the opportunity to talk about this topic. And again, it was wonderful listening to your insights, Dr. Sapna. I'll definitely love to connect with you sometime.
Please, I'll look forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you once again. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.